Hello, everybody. Welcome to Mortal Content. Hold on. I did something wrong here. I had my volume on YouTube. For the comments. I did that before, and I was like, what the hell's going on? So anyway, everybody, welcome to Mortal Content. This is going to be fun. We're going to delve into one of Renee and I's favorite shows is the X-Files. Renee is way more knowledgeable on it because she's watched it way more than I have because I am bad about rewatching shows. But we're going to focus on the Smoking Man. I called it the Smoking Man Mythos. It's the Smoking Man storyline, however you want to go about it. But yeah, we're going to delve into that. Yes, the truth is out there, Daniel. Thank you. And we have Mulder in the background for Renee, too. Wrong. Yeah, the alien. All right. But before we start, Renee, what do you have to drink this evening?
I have Aldi brand Red Thunder energy drink because, as I told you, I'm making some homemade costumes for my weekend events. So
awesome. So Mortal Content is my whiskey drinking show. Like your and I show tend to be cocktails, but deviated, and speakeasy conversations be beer. So I found this, and I am so thrilled.
I'm drinking this.
Well, you can drink that if you'd like to. You can mix that with an energy drink and really go to town.
I don't know about that.
So I got this. Fancy. So this is very fancy. Lafroig and Ardbeg, my two favorite Scotches, Scotch producers. So this is something I found it and I was like, oh, that looks great. So it's got the little, almost like a book. Fancy. So we're going to give this a go. This is Elements. So small batch, limited release. It's 50, 100, basically 58 would be what? 116 proof. So not super light, but not like Everclear, thankfully. I feel like sometimes I drink bourbon and bourbon feels like it's like, 180 proof because of how strong, like, burning it is. So nice and peaty, just like I hoped it would be. All right, and in my true form with Scotch, I always pour a wee bit of water in it to open it up. So cheers to that. Look at that. It's lovely looking. It almost looks bourbony though, like how brown
it is. Very like caramely. Yeah.
Doesn't smell that way though.
I bet.
What's weird is it almost is like a very peaty bourbon in a way. It almost has like that bourbon zing at the end. Not quite as hefty as a lot of bourbons will be with that sort of burn, but usually Lafroig gets peaty and it's usually pretty smooth on the end, and this is different. This is almost like it was aged in American oak, and I don't think it was. Yeah, I'm looking at it. It doesn't say anything about it being aged in American oak, but that's kind of what it tastes like. They say spice, tropical, and smoke is the flavor elements. Spice I get. Tropical, not really.
Bringing it because, like, I feel like my favorite thing to add to bourbon is lemon because it brings, it brings the vanilla out.
Oh man, I never even thought of that. That's awesome. Like you see, like sometimes you'll see with cocktails they'll have like a lemon or something like that, but I wouldn't have thought it was just straight bourbon.
Well, I discovered it by accident because my last house had a lemon tree that produced so many lemons that, excuse me, that we were like, what else can we put lemons in? And we were just like,
everything.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to have a whiskey sour. We're going to do this. We're going to so I was using a lot of lemon in my cocktails at that time. And I was like, oh, it like really brings all the sweetness out. It brings the vanilla out. So
yeah, there is something like when you grow stuff, sometimes you get such an abundance, you're just like, what do I do with all this?
Yeah, we were like giving them away, like all of like, and everything you can imagine doing with lemons, we were also doing, and still had too many lemons. And it was the same. We had grapevines that were the same way. Like,
yeah,
we didn't even look at them. Like they just did this on their own.
Yeah, so I don't know why that background was there. Went with the TV since we're talking about TV shows, and that was movies before. Although there was an X-Files movie, but
there were two.
There were two. That's true, and I don't think I saw the second one.
A lot of people didn't see the second one, and that's okay. It was pretty bad.
It was pretty bad. Okay, well, good to know. Maybe I didn't miss too much there. I thought the actual first movie was really good. So
it was, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we are going to try to dive a bit into the X-Files with the Smoking Man mythos. Smoking Man appears in a bunch of episodes. He appears in a pilot episode, even all but briefly. So I would like you to give me your sort of overview of the Smoking Man and what you think of him. All right. So we'll go from there.
The reason why he's one of my favorites, well, one, I mean, he's fascinating once you get into like the later seasons, right? But also because he's like a perfect illustration of what's good, bad, and weird about the X-Files. Because as any hardcore fan knows, like a lot of the storyline episodes, the big story arcs, don't make any sense. They take things back. They retcon things. They change their mind. They go back and forth. It's clear a lot of the times they introduce a concept or a character without really figuring out what they're going to do with them till later. And that is so well illustrated with the Smoking Man. We meet the Smoking Man in, like you said, in the pilot episode, and he's literally just a man who is smoking in a room connected to Skinner's office, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
So now remember, they're not at like FBI headquarters. That's in Quantico. They're in Washington, D.C. They're just at the field office. So what we understand in this moment is that the Smoking Man has an office in the D.C. field office of the FBI.
Right.
And he has some power because Skinner does feel like he has to do what the Smoking Man wants. We don't actually hear much from the Smoking Man in season 1. Like he doesn't, I think I read somewhere.
I think he has 4 words.
Yeah, in the whole season. And by the end, and I'm including seasons 10 and 11 because I did watch them because I do care that much about the X-Files. By the end, we find out like he can't be killed, apparently. Because what the OG X-Files goes, the series finale, he gets blown up. He is he's in the Anasazi ruins. I think in the show they say in New Mexico or Arizona, but it's actually shot out here in California. He's hiding out in the Anasazi ruins. They shoot a rocket at him and he is blown up. I think he had like a trachea thing going on too.
Oh, like a tracheotomy thing, like with the kazoo that they put up. Sorry, I know that's insensitive, but it just reminds me of a kazoo.
But I think, but then in seasons 10 and 11, he is alive and he's back and he is like even more all powerful than we realize, because what we find out, he goes from being like this guy who has an office next to Skinner's office to like being part of this shadow government. And
syndicate.
He is part of this syndicate, and at times he's in charge of it, and at times he is like calling the shots of things that happen around the world, and at times shots are being called on him. Like we never really know what the fuck is going on with the Smoking Man, because the writers ever really knew what the fuck was going on with the Smoking Man. And maybe he kidnapped Mulder's sister. Maybe he's Mulder's dad. Maybe
he did say that in one episode.
Maybe that's not true at all. Maybe he just really wanted to be. And this is where I do have a theory that I'm going to pitch on this episode as we get deeper in. I'm going to save it though. I'm going to get into it in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, don't do it right away. Leave them wanting a little bit, right?
For your life-changing take on canon events that the Smoking Man is involved in the X-Files. You're going to have to wait at least 20 or 30 minutes.
Yeah, we'll get into that. I will say the one thing that I thought was interesting was that there was one point where the Smoking Man tells Mulder that I am your father, which I thought was really hokey and very kind of trying to make fun of Star Wars in a way.
Yes, and of course Mulder's like, no. But then towards the end, it may have actually even been the finale. There's like this mutilated corpse, and they think it's Mulder because if you recall, at the end of the OG X-Files, Mulder's not in it because David Duchovny was in negotiations with Fox, and they made a lot of bad decisions about thinking they could do the X-Files without him. They think it's Mulder, so they do a DNA test, and they're like, it's Mulder. And it's not. It's Spender, Agent Spender, which is funny because that's not how DNA works. It would not.
No, it isn't.
Mulder, if it was, it wouldn't match if it was Mulder's half-brother, but whatever. That's another way in which things don't always make sense in the X-Files.
Well, there was a book that, so this is a tangent here on the DNA thing. There was a book that Jonathan Mayberry wrote, and I'm trying to remember what the name of it was. But there was a villain in the Joe Ledger series named Artemisia Bliss, who was a master hacker, computer nerd. And there was a thing where she faked her death, but she did something in the programming code where if you ran her DNA against everybody, it showed it was her. Ooh. And that was kind of a clever thing. Now, granted, this is in the fucking 90s. That wasn't happening back then. So, but I just, it was like one of those things I'm like, but no, it's too early for that. But
well, who knows?
Who knows? Granted, we had the movie. When the fuck was that stupid movie Hackers came out? Or The Net? The Net is, that was an awful movie.
Hackers came out before that. And then also we had the Hackers episode of the X-Files, which is another one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Makes no fucking sense. Like, yeah. But we're going to come back to what you just said.
Yeah.
We're going to come back to it. We're going to have a lot of fun with this episode. So yeah, I think, so we both watched Musings of a Cigarette Smoking Man for like to prep for this. I say this about every episode of the X-Files that we've talked about, like on any of the shows that we've done together.
Yeah.
And then again, I just don't talk about the ones that aren't my favorite. So whatever, but it is one of my favorites. It's where we learn, one of the writers says this is like a possible history. It's not necessarily canon, which I'm like, you put it on TV, it's canon. I guess the like get out of jail free card on that is this is just what the lone gunmen have put together. It's not necessarily like
the lone gunmen. We didn't talk about them at the point. Yeah.
Yeah. So it opens with the Smoking Man spying on Mulder and Scully in a meeting with the lone gunmen. We don't even see them. He's just listening in, and he's got his special
little box.
His special little box that can get through their thing that nothing can get through. So it's no longer encrypted and he can hear what they're saying.
And he smiles. That's the best. It's a little grin he gets when they're like, nothing can penetrate this, because they can hear him saying it. And he's like, hee.
But I love it because it's this thing that starts to happen with him is that he can kind of, like I said, by the end of the series, he's like a super villain, right? He can do anything. He can get anything. He can do anything. If the technology doesn't exist, he can make it exist. Like whatever. He's, otherworldly. He's like Satan himself in a lot of ways.
He reminded me of more of what was the dude in the Fantastic Four, Dr. Manhattan or whatever, that could just make shit happen because he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sort of thing. I don't know. Was it Dr. Manhattan? Was that?
Dr. Manhattan is the Watchman. The
Watchman. Yeah, maybe I'm misunderstanding, but maybe it is there's a guy who was blue.
Yeah, that's
and he was in the Watchmen movie. He was not in the Watchmen series, which if you could watch the Watchmen series, sorry, side tangent, that is a fucking banger fucking show, and it only lasts one season, but it's amazing. Sorry, side tangent there.
I don't love them. movie. Anyway.
The movie's not great, but the show is great.
So yeah, so we get this possible history. I think that here's the thing, and this is why, as an X-Files fan, you have to accept certain things, and one of the things you have to accept is that the story doesn't make sense, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I think that this is like a get out of jail free card to be like, oh, it's a possible history, it's not canon. Because then you could say that about any of the episodes that don't make sense, right? You could be like, oh, but that was just like, that was a possible explanation of what happened to Mulder's sister. There's like 3 or 4, none of them are canon. Like, you decide if she was killed by a serial killer or kidnapped by the smoking man or abducted by aliens. Or I think there was even another one, I can't remember now. Oh, cloned.
Oh, the clones. I forgot about the clones.
Yeah.
I mean, so there's this, let's say there's 4. Let's say that's the 4, right? Just saying. Which one of those 4 is the most plausible to you? If you're looking at it in the X-Files universe.
In the X-Files universe, I think that the most likely explanation is the kidnapping. But now the cloning thing was a spinoff of the kidnapping, but because there's 2 versions of the kidnapping story too.
Yeah, true.
So the kidnapping without the cloning.
Yeah, so it's like 1A and 1B. So I think actually the alien abduction for the just overall arc of the X-Files is like more fun. But the kidnapping is probably the more realistic of the canon ideas.
Well, so I believe.
Do you want to believe?
I want to believe. No, but I do believe that the story is that, as we're presented with in the show, the smoking man makes some kind of devil's bargain with Mulder's dad. They've got to give up one of their children. They have the Sophie's choice, and they end up giving up the daughter for whatever reason. And he makes it seem like a alien abduction because he already has, in my opinion, a special interest in Mulder.
Yeah.
Because as we see, and this plays into what I'm going to blow the roof off with, but as we see in Musings of a Cigarette Smoking Man, when Mulder's dad, Bill Mulder, is talking about, oh, my son's already talking, and he's showing a picture of his wife and son, the smoking man takes it and he keeps it, and he goes back to it over and over and over again. And we know throughout the series he does have a special interest in Mulder. That is explained by, oh, he's my son. I don't think he is.
I don't think he is either. I agree on that end. Maybe he fancied himself that, but I don't think so.
And that's my theory. Here's my explanation for that. This is my theory based on Musings of a Cigarette Smoking Man and everything we know about the smoking man and the other episodes surrounding this special interest he has in Mulder. I'm not even sure Spender is really his son.
Yeah, it's a little weird, but yeah.
Yeah, because just for a lot of reasons, I'm not sure Spender is his son, but here's a couple things that don't make sense about this. Why does he have, if Mulder is his son, why would he give Bill Mulder a choice between taking his actual son or this girl that isn't his child, right?
Unless both of them are.
Yeah, well, but they're not, according to the canon of the story.
Yeah, but we're told the canon is whatever you make them. So they're right.
But there's never any discussion whatsoever that both the children are his. There is an implication that perhaps he had an affair with Mulder's mother. We know he knows Mulder's mother. We know he has some sort of soft spot for her, but we don't know if it's because of his special interest in Mulder or because of some history. Is the history that they have solely around the fact that she's kept some sort of touch with him because he has her daughter? We don't know. We don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not particularly interested in that because I don't think that in the timeline we get in the Musings of a Cigarette Smoking Man that it is possible for him to have known Bill Mulder's wife before Fox was born. He moldered over it.
That is quite possible, yes.
What we do know about the Cigarette Smoking Man is that he lives in fantasy. and he lies to himself. And when we see him outside of that episode, he comes across as very straightforward, very dry. It is what it is, right? But then in this episode, we get these little things, right? They're talking about, we're going to move. He's got like literally Saddam Hussein is calling on the phone.
Which was an odd thing, but yeah.
I know, I loved it.
So Saddam's happening, Rodney King is happening, and Gorbachev resigns.
Yeah.
And those timelines are not synchronous, I don't think. They might be in some proximity, but I don't think they're synchronous. So I just find it funny they're just like all those
different. They're asking him, do you want this to happen or that? I don't care. What about this? I don't care. What about this? I don't care. And then he says, but I, under no circumstances, as long as I live with the Bills, ever win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, that was really weird.
Which at the time that aired was super funny because they never made it to the Super Bowl. No, like, you know, but anyway.
And then they lost 4 Super Bowls in a row, but yes.
He has these things that he just does because he feels like it. That doesn't, the Bills winning or losing a Super Bowl is not a butterfly effect thing. It's just like he personally doesn't like them and doesn't want them to win the Super Bowl.
Well, he also talks about how he affected the Miracle on Ice, like the USA victory over Russia in their 1980 Olympics, and like
right. That would be a psyop.
Yeah, but
so you're like, okay, that would affect politics. That would affect people. Like,
yeah, it would have geopolitics and all that shit. But yeah,
but the Bills winning or losing a Super Bowl, he just didn't want them to.
But in that same meeting, there's the one guy says that there's this Mulder kid and he could be a problem because he's opening the X-Files. And then Smokey Man's like, Mulder's my responsibility. I am watching him and leave him alone. So he basically told everybody, fuck off. That's my responsibility. I will keep an eye on that.
Yes.
For a reason. So, yeah.
So, and we know, here's the thing also. He is he's fascinated by and interested in Mulder, and he helps him at times, but he doesn't want Mulder to succeed. And he does have very clearly throughout the series some level of distaste for Mulder. Fascination
and distaste. Yes, those are two. It's like in conjunction with, he's like, I'm fascinated by what this guy's doing, but he's fucking things up.
Yes. And also, you know, he's purposely misleading Mulder away from the truth. So it's not like he's going to he won't make him smolder. Daniel. Like, it's not like he's happy to use Mulder as the patsy that he's meant to be, right? As long as
Patsy's a recurring theme with him too.
Yes. As long as Mulder's the guy saying the crazy shit that nobody believes and making the X-Files sound like bullshit to everybody, the Smoky Man is happy. If Mulder was his son, wouldn't he want to manipulate Mulder into coming to his side? He never tries to do that. He never even tries. And he's literally had Mulder's entire life to do this.
I feel like he looks at Mulder as a way to, there's like a very practical side to him of just, my job is I am an operative for the U.S. government. I am supposed to make things work for the U.S., and I don't care like the other things. So Mulder might be a useful idiot in that respect. Like, you can talk about the X-Files and do all that and distract while we're doing all this other stuff. And, you know, there's that scene where he meets the guy and the aliens crash. And then he's like, the other guy's like, you're the killer. I'm the liar. And, you know, Smoky Man's a liar too. But it's just funny that like he doesn't really dispute him, but then he does a coin flip. And
what he says is, I've never killed anybody in my entire life. And Deep Throat says, well, who's the liar now? Because we know in this episode, he killed JFK and he killed Martin Luther King Jr. And not only did he kill Martin Luther King Jr., he volunteered to do it because he respected Martin Luther King Jr. so much.
And there's also
someone else to do it.
Yeah, there's also the implication that because RFK Senior, there's also the implication that he's going to take care of RFK Senior because he makes a speech in respect for Martin Luther King, and RFK got killed, and so there's sort of it's not directly implied, but it's sort of like kind of nudging you toward the direction he's going to take care of that quote unquote issue as well. So,
and he makes such a big deal of it. This is why I say I think he lies to himself. He makes such a big deal of it. It's almost like he believes it. I don't want to kill that alien because I am not a killer. And it's like, well, but you're literally an assassin. That's how you got into the position you're in today. Maybe you don't kill people now, but you definitely
did before.
Yeah. And so he flips the coin, he makes Deep Throat do it. And I think it's so interesting because what we see in that scene also is he's like really sad because they won't be known for all these things they're doing. And we know that he's like trying to be a writer and he sucks at it. Nobody wants to him.
And his name was Raul something Court.
Oh, I can't remember.
And I was like, that is the dumbest name.
Yeah.
And then he puts nom de plume behind it when he writes it in the script, which I think is fucking hilarious. Maybe.
Oh, Jack. Oh, no. The fictional version of himself is Jack Colquitt, which is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it doesn't give this little thing I'm looking at doesn't have his.
Yeah, I gotta look at it. Yeah, I'm looking for like what his nom de plume was for writing. He wrote as Raoul something or other, but the guy was Jack Colquitt. That was supposedly him. And it was funny is at the end of the
Raphael. No, never mind.
It was Raoul, Raul. Right. I just couldn't remember the. Yeah, so I can't remember what the actual name is, and I don't want to get too hung up on it, but it's just interesting that he was trying to do all these things with this fiction writing to kind of show all the cool stuff. And when he finally gets an acceptance letter at the end, he's just like, is my imagination too much? And it's not his imagination, that's just him doing stuff that it's like his way of like confessing almost in a way, right?
Well, I love it too because he does get published and then they change the ending of the story and he's so mad. And I was like, that's funny because like all of the humiliations I've suffered as a writer, all of the degradations. No one's ever changed my story without my permission ever. And I've also never been published in a skin magazine, but
yeah,
granted, it used to be a big deal to get published in Playboy. I would have done it had I thought I had a chance. But my point is he lies to himself. So we know that he had this weird like fascination with Bill Mulder, and a weird fascination with that photo of Bill Mulder's family. And I think that there's this part of him that wanted a family instead of the power, because you also know that his mom died of cancer, right? And in the beginning he's like, oh, I don't smoke, I don't touch the things, and then by the end he is the cigarette smoking man. So I think it's one of those things, like I really believe that he created a fantasy in which he, like in another life, he is Bill Mulder. And he has Bill's wife and he has Bill's kid and like he's getting to do all the things that Bill's doing because they worked together for a while. We know that, again, outside of this episode, in the canon, the greater canon, they work together on things. They do good and bad things together. And then they go their separate ways. And I think that the whole DNA thing is just like, he made it come out that way. He made it say that it was a match.
Clearly, he's a
match and not.
Yeah, clearly his MO is he's a man who can get things done,
right?
In whatever fashion that means.
Yeah, and again, that throws everybody for a loop and puts them on their back foot, which benefits him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like he gets what he wants and he gets like future ammunition.
Yeah. So going back to Musings of the Smoking Man, which this is kind of where they really expand him out, whereas before he's been kind of in the background, and this is where they really kind of focus on him. There's a part where when he's doing in that meeting and he says, Gorbachev just resigned. And the other people in the room are like, there's no more enemies. And he kind of just looks dejected when they say that. Yeah, it probably does.
Morley Miles.
Morley Miles. But then he goes home and he gets that letter that he's been accepted. And he's like, great, I'm a writer now. And he starts writing his resignation letter. And then he reads it and he's like, they changed it. It's all wrong. And what I thought was really super interesting is he after that, he sits on a bench and a homeless person grabs his chocolate box out of a fucking trash can. And he starts doing the life is like a box of chocolates, but like in a really fucking depressing way. Yeah. Not like the Forrest Gump way, just like super depressing.
And they're all fucking coconut bullshit. Yeah. So my favorite thing about that scene though, where they say Gorbachev resigned, is like, it's Christmas and he hands them out all their gifts. I didn't catch that. This is like a thing that I don't pay attention to. My husband caught it today. They open it. They're all Harvard ties.
I didn't know that they were Harvard. I knew they were all the same tie. I didn't realize
I knew they were all the same. They're all Harvard ties. But guess who doesn't? And were all wearing Harvard ties. And they all get Harvard ties. But guess who's not wearing a Harvard tie?
Smoking Man.
Because he came up through the military. He didn't come up through Skull and Bones, Harvard, whatever. Yeah. So that's another source of his insecurities, that they just kind of like slipped in right under our noses without making a big deal about. I thought that was great.
There's a weird detail in there that I'm not sure you picked up on. Is he says Gorbachev resigned and he closes his suitcase and locks it. And then the person says, there's no more enemies. And he contemplates for a second. And then he unlocks his suitcase again and says, Merry Christmas. It's almost like he closed the suitcase, like he wasn't going to give them any Christmas presents.
Right.
And he's like, oh, yeah, here you go, by the way.
And he also says they invite him to go to Christmas because they know that he
has no family. Yeah.
And he says, oh, I've got a family thing. Like he just lies.
I have to go to see family.
Right. And that's what I mean. He has this vision of himself, right, where he wants that. And he's got this little picture of Bill Mulder's wife and Bill Mulder's son that he keeps with him through all these years, well before Mulder's like a fucking Rhodes Scholar, well before he's in the FBI. Like,
yeah, it's weird because when you think of people who are like depicted in movies and shows, like the idea of people who are like government assassins, always these loners who can't have any meaningful relationships because their job is such that they can't have it. And just like, but there's a longing that he has that's so much different than the other ones that I've seen. Like you've seen others like, man, I really like but like nothing like him. There's just a desperate loneliness. And they use desperate bunches of times in that episode, the word desperate.
Oh yeah, they really hammer it home.
Yeah, and so when he's listening to the lone gunman and they're talking about how he's desperate, and they I think they said it like 4 or 5 times, and it's just like, yeah, he's desperate. Like he knows what I feel like his character is like the guy who goes, it's for the greater good. I'm doing this for the greater good, but I'm sacrificing my own happiness and life for this greater good.
When I think it kills him that he'll never be recognized for it.
Yeah, and then there's the part where he starts when he comes back and he starts writing again, and he's like, whatever. Jack Colquitt is sitting alone in his apartment. He was a man who was committed to sacrifice or something along those lines.
Yeah,
and then there was another sentence, and then he just does like an ellipsis and then just kind of smiles at it, like he's like, yeah, I wrote that shit.
Yeah.
Like But there is an innate sadness in him that he just can't. I feel like he's incapable of being that person that he wants to be, and he kind of knows it.
100%. Yeah. I think that the implication is that he was always incapable of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he was chosen.
Yeah. Chosen very young. Like, he was young when they chose him. And yeah, it's weird that they're like, so it feels like they just kind of plucked him and said, hey, come here. And like, you know what I mean? There's no like build up to, oh, he's done all these things and now we're going to bring him in because he's clearly a stone killer. And they're like, there's young dude. And he's like, all right, so our thing is this. Here's the op. You have to assassinate someone. And they do the 46, married, 2 kids. And we all know it's coming to JFK. And then nothing said. And then the leader guy's like, so it's tough because he's the commander in chief. And that's when the other thing I have a nitpick is that they had him fire from like fucking sewer grate. That's not how he died. That's not the angle of the bullet, but like whatever.
He's the second shooter.
Yeah. I just love that they use Lee Harvey Oswald as like this fucking extradition to Cuba. Like, okay.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I don't know.
Well, and then,
whoa, full circle moment. So David Duchovny is involved in that episode. We actually don't see him that whole episode, really, other than in photos, I don't think. So we hear his voice. But in Zoolander, he's the hand model, and he talks about how models are the ones that are like assassins because they can get access. And then he talks about Lee Harvey Oswald. And I was like, oh shit, that just occurred to me. It is a loose thread. It's a loose thread, but you know who's with me? Daniel. He's right there with me, man. Thank you. Sorry, that was a weird thread, but I couldn't help it.
No, I love it. I just do. I think too, like, but I do think that episode lends itself to explaining a lot of the canon and like making it actually make sense. Now, granted, perhaps it's possible I put more thought into it than Chris Carter. I do think that, but I also
it might be the case.
You do see though that the actor playing young smoking man is the actor who plays Spender. So maybe Spender is his son, maybe not.
I feel like Spender is his son, but it's not like a committed relationship son. It's like he just he had a fling somewhere, and that was his son.
Well, we find out that he had Spender's mother put through all of these experiments and shit that made her go crazy. And like that's why
that character totally would not surprise me that that's what he did, because he would be that kind of person. So,
so it's almost like, well, maybe it's like, so the fantasy of the wife and kid in the photo versus the reality of being like the uninvolved father who tortured his ex.
Yeah, probably.
Because I think, in an unlikely moment here, I cannot remember this detail, but I believe that Spender didn't know the smoking man was his father until he was an adult.
Yeah, I believe that's the case, if I remember correctly. Again, you have watched this show way more than I have, and I as much as I love this show, I just really struggle rewatching things. Like, there are people who I'm going to rewatch it because it's a comfort show, and that concept is so weird to me. Like, it doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just like so. For instance, I started rewatching The Expanse. The Expanse is my absolute favorite sci-fi show ever. That show is fucking phenomenal, and I'm into season 2. And then I just get to these points where I'm like, oh, I have all these. The other problem is there's 5 gazillion things to watch now. Like, yeah. So like I started watching this. 2 things I started watching was Pluribus, which I would like to talk to you about after the show. And then I started watching Devil in Disguise, which is like a fictional retelling of John Wayne Gacy.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy that plays Gacy is fucking amazing. He is so good.
It's like an absolute like 180 from the horrible fucking Ryan.
It is, and what was funny is they really don't delve into the clown stuff as much. But regardless,
yeah. Anyway, why like we'll set the serial killer stuff aside because that's like a different. That's a different.
But what I'm saying is like what I meant to say is like with the X-Files, I love that show. I think it's what for the time it was so way ahead of what it was trying to do. Yes, there's nonsensical storylines. Like, listen, if you ever watch something like Fringe, which came later, which was kind of X-Files redux in a way with different characters, that show still had weird storylines that didn't make sense too. But like, that's fine. That's also like part of the campiness of X-Files. There's funniness, like you said. Like I remember you said, I hope like Ryan Coogler is supposed to be redoing this show and reimagining it. You said, I hope they don't lose the neurodivergence and the comedy that's involved with that show because it is. It's it's
funny.
It's very all over the place, and that's part of its appeal. Is it's not.
Well, because Mulder dad jokes all the time, 100% of the time, and then Scully. There's a very natural progression in the series where Scully starts to play along. Or she doesn't in the beginning, and then she starts to, right? Which I love. And then also there are episodes that are intentionally comedic episodes that are just straight up funny. And some of those are my favorites. Like there's one in, I believe it's season 10, it might be 11, with Rhys Darby, where he is a were-lizard. And it is some of the funniest television I've ever seen in my life.
Rhys Darby, goddamn.
Good. Yeah, it is so good. Everyone bitches and moans about how terrible seasons 10 and 11 are because the storyline episodes are awful. Gillian Anderson quit because the storyline was so bad and she was so tired of having to play it out, her character being obsessed with this shitty storyline, right? But the one-off episodes, their Monster of the Week episodes, were some of the best. They had like an all-silent episode where all of the specifically all of the AI went against Mulder and Scully specifically because they forgot or they didn't tip a automatic sushi restaurant.
Was the one? Go ahead. Sorry.
No, well, I just say like there's one where it's like based on a Twilight Zone episode, and like even Skinner gets like one of the funniest lines maybe in the whole series in that at the end. There's the Rhys Darby one, which is one of my favorites. Like there's just so many good, self-aware, funny episodes in season 10 where they just have a blast with it. And it's so good. But if you don't know that they're coming, you have to suffer through the storyline episodes.
What's the weird one with the Titanic? Was that in season 10 or 11? I think it was.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about.
Where they were kind of in it. It was almost like a bit of like a weird time travel sort of episode.
Yeah, yeah. What season of X-Files was?
But you know what I mean? They were people who were on the Titanic, Scully and
oh no, that was season 6.
Okay, for some reason I thought that was later. But that was like a weirdly funny episode in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like,
and then
I
there's
really enjoyed that.
There's the one where there's another time travel episode on a boat. There's actually kind of 3. But there's another one where he's like trying to stop a bomb or something. But everybody on the boat thinks he's a Nazi.
I vaguely remember that, but I can't remember.
He's like a spy for the other side. And then there's one that's not time travel, but they're on a boat and they're rapidly aging due to something on the boat. And what's funny is it's glycoproteins, which is creepy as fuck because that's what I use for my eczema now. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
No, don't make me scared of those. I have to put them on my skin. But also, I saw a meme.
You are correct. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. So
I'm better lit than I was last time Greg saw me. Also, I was in the dark on Brothers and Booze on Friday.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because yeah. Anyway, sorry. The thing is with the X-Files, there's so many tangents you can go on, so it's like almost hard to stay focused.
I know, because I made my point. I made my big point about the smoking man, but I would like to go back to the fact that he becomes immortal.
Yes, let's talk about that.
That was a trip. So in the series finale of the OG X-Files, like I said, he gets fucking blown up, which is pretty final. They actually see they show him like cackling into the screen as the fucking missile like hits him, and it's like very dramatic and insane. The series finale of the OG X-Files is a little bit like, oh no, what do we do? But then it's like the first or second episode of season 10, they're like, by the way, he's back, he's alive, he didn't die. And he's not sick, and he's not blown up, and there's no like burn scars or anything. He's fine. And he's also in charge of everything. And he's going to, I was like, he has the disease, but he also has the only antidote. And it's like, yeah, he's immortal and also more powerful than he's ever been on the world stage, which I guess makes sense if you're immortal. But
I guess, but at the end, doesn't he also, he's like wants to use some sort of chemtrail thing to like end things from most of the people, and just like,
yeah. So like because if you recall, the other canon that constantly gets retconned is what the big government conspiracy is.
Yep.
And so in season 10 and 11, it is a virus.
That's right.
It's got something to do with aliens, or like the alien hybrids are the ones that are going to be immune to it, or I can't remember, because again, they sucked so bad.
I think you're right there. I think there was some sort of alien virus that they were going to deploy to kind of kill off like regular humans.
Almost everybody, yeah. Like almost everybody's going to die. And the bad aliens were going to take over. And it's like, the idea is like
bad aliens.
Well, because there's good aliens and bad aliens.
Yep, I know. I just thought it was funny they used bad aliens.
There's good aliens who don't want this to happen, and there's bad aliens that do want this to happen. And the syndicate that the Smoky Man's involved in, like bet on the wrong out. They thought like they could ally with the bad aliens long enough to outsmart them, and then they fucked up.
Yeah, it's very, what was that show? V. Remember V? They came out.
Oh yeah.
I think that sort of concept was kind of the same thing as V. You know.
Yeah, and then but then like also the Smoky Man's still kind of all in on it because it lets him have power, and it lets him have power over Mulder specifically, and so. Yeah. First or second episode, he gives Mulder a disease. William, the baby that is unceremoniously given up for adoption at the end. Like you go through all of this fucking drama over the baby, and then they give it up. She gives it up for adoption because she's like, it'll never be safe with me. And apparently in the universe of the X-Files, the syndicate can do everything other than look at adoption records.
Apparently that's the only thing that they're just not able to fucking figure out. So they can figure everything else out, but yeah.
Even if it is like a black market under the table adoption, I still feel like, this family out in the middle of nowhere that didn't have a baby and then one day had a baby that was almost a year old, like that might be where I'd start looking, but whatever. So, but something's gone wrong. They know something's wrong with him, or he's missing. And so they're going to go find him, and he's somehow the key to this disease. It's very fucking stupid and it doesn't make sense. But what we do know is that the Smoking Man is behind all of it, and he is alive even though he got blown up, and he is still in charge of basically everything but these aliens who've got the better of him.
So it makes me wonder. So apparently he was communicating with these aliens, correct? He was
throughout
throughout the whole thing. So it makes me wonder if at the end, like they managed to, if they're talking about disease, like an alien disease, maybe he had the alien disease that made him go and be like, hey, let's just end everything and just these hybrids left.
Well, but also there's something going on, because if his mother died of lung cancer and then he smoked like that his entire adult life, how was he alive?
Can I ask a question about the smoking as someone who's never smoked in my life? And I know you're a former smoker. The whole holding it like this, I know that's a choice.
Yeah, the way he guards it.
Yeah, just like I feel like very few people actually smoke like that.
I think it's going back to him being very insecure. It's like a stylistic choice.
Yeah, almost like that makes me look more masculine instead of doing it like this.
I think so. I don't know a lot of people, and also it makes your hands, it's going to make your whole hand stink as opposed to just your two fingers.
When you smoke, everything stinks, I think, but
there's like a particular like a particular concentration.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like, I don't know. That's just like off the top. I never like, that's how you might like occasionally like pick it up to get it to your mouth, but it's not like how you would like sit there and smoke. Like even if it was windy, I don't feel like I would like cup. I don't know. I was a very heavy smoker too, not as heavy as him. I don't think anybody in the history of smoking was as heavy a smoker as the smoking man. But yeah, like it's, I don't know. I think it's interesting also that stink ball, gross. I do think it's interesting that you get an implication that there's a couple times that he tried to quit.
Well, at the thing where he supposedly gets published, he has his Morleys and he just crumples up and throw them, and he was like, "Great, I'm done." It's almost like I got published and I'm done with this fucking bullshit, and I'm
done with the job. I'm done with the cigarettes. I'm a writer now. And then he reads it, and he's like, the newsstand guy's like, "Gonna sit there and read it and have to ask that you pay for it." And he hands the guy a $5. And he's like, "Anything else?" And he's like, "Yeah, a pack of Morleys," because this was filmed at a time where you could buy a magazine and a pack of cigarettes for less than $5, which is insane, because they're both like $15 a piece at minimum now.
Yeah. That is true. So
yeah.
What's funny is it was like sort of a skin mag that he got published in, but like it had this like French name, which made it sound like it was sort of fancy.
Yeah. and they still were like, it's gonna need some changes to meet our standards.
I like how he was like, "Hey, I have some ideas for the cover," and he's like, "This is why we love working with new people." And listen, as you are a published author, I am not. I feel like the idea that like you going and being like, "Hey, I'm new and I have some ideas," and I feel like
the cover of your magazine,
the publisher's gonna be like, "Yeah, thanks, but no thanks. We have our own ideas."
I had this crazy experience once. I have to be really careful because I like some of the people involved. I don't want to. Oh, okay. I had this experience once where I was in an anthology and I was part of the group of people planning the release party. Mm-hmm. And one of the people in the anthology, so like maybe you've seen this happen, I don't know, it doesn't happen as much anymore, but like in a big anthology that people are really excited about, the table of contents comes out and everybody who's in it is like feeling that camaraderie, and they all like tag each other on Facebook. Mm-hmm. So this person that was in the anthology friended me on Facebook as a result of that. And then within like 2 days had like a whole crash out on my page because he was a super nasty misogynist who had weird opinions about women wearing makeup. There's going to be maybe a couple people watching this who know who I'm talking about and whatever. I'm not going to get into.
You don't have to get into specifics. It's fine.
But he decided to invite himself to be a part of this opening party. that I was organizing. And he told the editor of the anthology that he wanted to be a part of it, but he wasn't going to be a part of it if I was a part of it, which is really fun because the editor of the anthology was not planning the party. He was coming to the party that I was planning with some other people. So this created this whole thing because he had reasons why it would be beneficial maybe for him to be there, blah, blah, blah. It was super awkward and it made him look like a huge ass. And I found out through that he was trying to demand that he be listed on the cover of the anthology as though he were like the big name. Like, you know, if you saw an anthology that was like, for example, like the X-Files anthology, right? Like, I believe Jonathan Mayberry was in that. So it might be like, you know, the X-Files based on the world created by Chris Carter, featuring stories by Jonathan Mayberry and like 2 or 3 other.
Yeah, 2 or 3 other. Because that's how you bring people in. You got these big authors, and that's the people.
Or like, you know, Stephen King or something. He thought that he should have that. And nobody's name was going to be on the cover besides the actual editors, as is how it's supposed to go. And so that kind of reminded me of that, like that idea of like, well, I think that I should have my name on the cover. It's like, no, honey, that's not how it works. You're not that important. You don't get to call the shots because you got like a story in a thing. But it's even funnier in a magazine because it's like their thing isn't even fiction. Like their thing is boobs, dude.
Yeah, and clearly the way the wording on the cover was like, hey, look at this international spy with the sexy thing. And he was like, that's not at all what I wanted. But it was like very clear that they made it sort of sexified. That was like not what he wrote.
Yeah.
And so that was really super funny. But yeah.
I do like the implication that they couldn't find anybody who wanted to write sexy science fiction, as though that's ever been a problem in the sci-fi world.
Listen, there's some. What's funny is one of my favorite people to read online about how they approach writing is Haley Piper. I don't know if you've read any of her stuff. She's fucking great, and she's like, I write sapphic horror, and I was like, great, what is that? And then I start reading her stuff. I'm like, oh, that's sapphic horror, and she's like, make it as fucking weird as you want. Don't fucking restrict yourself to try to be in this little fucking thing. Horror's a million things. Write it the way you want. And I just love that she has this lane. She's like, fuck norms. Just write the shit you like. And
nobody ever broke the mold by doing what everybody else was doing. But in science fiction and fantasy, you know, there's always been this thing about like all of the covers of the magazines have girls with their tits out. Like, you know, it's like, it's always been highly sexualized. Even like some of the most well-known and respected science fiction magazines have stuff like that. And so that's why I thought it was so funny, because it's like that was never going to be the problem that they were facing.
No. So yeah, I agree that there's just kind of something super funny about him getting into this mag, and he's so thrilled, and it's just this fucking, it's like Maxim back in the day. That's what it was looked like to me, like an old version of Maxim. And you know, Maxim had some interesting writing in it, believe it or not, but it was largely here's these famous celebrities that are kind of naked or not really,
like somewhere between Esquire and Maxim, I feel like.
Yeah, that's probably fair. So yeah,
or maybe more like between Esquire and like Playboy.
Yeah, I think that's actually a better description of it, because it seemed like very buxomy ladies on the cover. Just like, I just like how he's looking through all the stuff, and he's like, hey, do you have a copy of this? And the guy's like, and looking around and like, all right, yeah, I haven't even looked at that shit yet. He opened it up. And
he made it like a nasty comment about like, who reads this garbage? Like, I also love the idea that he's so excited to see his work in print for the first time that he doesn't realize that he's a grown man standing on the street, just like flipping through a skin mag, staring at it intently.
Yeah, he's
that.
And I love that he's looking at it for like a grand total of like 30 seconds. And then the guy's like, hey, if you're going to read that, you got to pay for it. Like,
to be fair, it's a skin mag. He's like, I need you to fucking let's get a move on. All right. You're not going to sit here looking at tits in front of my newsstand, driving customers away. Buy your nudie magazine and get on.
Yeah, if that's your thing, get the fuck out of here, dude. So it's just that episode particularly really informs a lot of what the Smoking Man is to me. There's a lot of shit that goes on later on down, but that is one of the better episodes of a show that establishes a character who is not a main character. He's a recurring character, but here's how the origin story of that guy. And you're just like, it's super duper well done. I really think it's funny. Like I said, I'm not a rewatcher of things but rewatching that, I was like, God damn, that was a good episode. And that episode's fucking 30 years old, but it's great. It's really well done. The only thing I will say is watching the X-Files intro is interesting. Like the music's great. The graphics are not.
No.
But it was very much apropos of the time. But
at the time we were like, wow.
Oh, that's really cool.
So cool.
It had a very unexplained mysteries feel to it.
Oh yeah.
Like the part where there's like a handprint and then there's like a ghostly figure fading back into it.
Yeah. No, to your point though about it being such a good episode is I said to my husband, I was like, I gotta watch the show today because I want it fresh for the Mortal content tonight. And he's like, oh, I'm trying to decide if I'm gonna watch it with you or not. And he's like, oh, who am I kidding? Of course I'm gonna watch it, because he remembers it being such a good episode too. Mm-hmm. And he's like a very casual viewer of the show, because it's like he'll come home from work and I'll be in the middle of an episode or something, so he won't be like, turn it off. He'll just sit down and watch it with me. So occasionally he'll see a whole episode every now and then, but he remembered that one as being really good and really fun. My favorite thing about it though, and we talked about this, is this idea that had he ever gotten published, he would have given up.
He would have been like, good enough, I'm done.
So he is, and I use this term, and maybe if people haven't seen this episode and aren't familiar with the actual mythos of the Smoking Man, it's going to sound insane. But I want you to remember that he ends up running the world and is going to kill everyone on the planet. It is very Hitler-esque. It's very, if only he had been a little better at his creative pursuit, maybe he wouldn't have become an evil genocidal maniac. Then, as we're prepping for this show, I told you in season 10 and 11, he has a series of episodes called My Struggle, which is what Mein Kampf translates to. So I am wondering if that is something that they did intentionally in the moment when they wrote that episode, or if it was something that they realized later when they were like, oh, we could totally call it that because it's got this connection.
Man. So there's certain shows you watch and there's an intentionality. Maybe that's not the right word. I don't know if that's even a word. There's an intentionality where everything is very much, all right, I'm doing this for a reason. Even shit in the background is like there's very intentional purposes to this. I feel like that's not the X-Files. I feel like it
is. Sometimes,
but I feel like a 50-50, right? Like sometimes it is and sometimes very much.
But I'm not saying that I think like that they knew that sometime down the road they were going to name that. I'm saying like I wonder if they knew as they were writing this story about he wants to be a writer, but instead he runs the Shadow Syndicate, whatever. If they realize, like if they were making an intentional like reflection of like a Hitler story.
I have another idea
back on it and went like, oh, that's kind of Hitlery.
I have another idea on that, and it's going to sound This was not their intent back then because we weren't really into the capitalism sucks era like we are now. But the idea of doing something because you're good at it, not because you like it, is like I'll give you an example. So I work in IT. I'm good at it. I don't necessarily, it's not something I enjoy. I do it because I've been doing it for 25 years and I know how to do it and I do it well. And I feel like in some ways that the smoking man's good at doing this nefarious shit, killing people, doing all stuff, running stuff for the government, but it's not something he likes. He just does it because he's good at it.
I think he likes it, though. I think he really likes it. I think that what he doesn't like is that he never gets to tell anyone.
Oh yeah, maybe that's more in line.
Do you ever watch Silicon Valley?
Never saw that show. There's a guy in that show that I can't stand, and so I don't watch it because of him. But
oh, I think I know who you mean. I also know for a fact someone who I've been pestering to watch the show is listening, so I'm not going to spoil it. But there's a thing like that in Silicon Valley too, where it's like no one ever gets to know that we did this thing, right? Like I think that's a common story that you hear. Like if you do the thing that really makes a difference, you can't tell people you did it because that'll undo it, right? If people knew that he was manipulating the Olympics and manipulating the Rodney King trial, manipulating all these things, manipulating the Clarence Thomas, Anita Hill thing, then it wouldn't have the same effect. And therefore it wouldn't do anything. So he has to live with, it's like getting away with murder, right? Is to live with this idea of like how fucking cool everything he's doing is and like not be able to tell anyone. He loves being in charge of everything, but he hates that he can't tell anyone he's in charge of everything.
Yeah, maybe that might fit in too. I didn't even think of that, Daniel. You're right. Maybe. So, yeah. So, sorry, Renee and I having a private conversation about Silicon Valley on the side. So there's two people in that show that I can't stand, and that's apparently. But so anyway, obviously he's a complex character because one, he changes all throughout the fucking show and the episode, so it's not like a straight line with him. But I don't think there's a better episode than the Musings of a Smoking Man. I don't think there's a better episode with him in it than that.
No. And I think it's kind of cool because they could have the X-Files would have and could have gotten away with having him be a very one-dimensional villain. They were getting up to that point. Nobody really cared. The only reason that they made that episode is because people were like, I dig that dude. He's cool. Like, I don't know, something about him. Yep. And a lot of TV shows have this one-dimensional villain that sort of, haunts the background and you don't know anything about them. And they just were like, you know what? Let's give him a whole story. Let's give him like wants and desires that are unrelated to this.
Yeah, but that's human. But that's human beings, right? Like even shitty people have wants and desires that aren't just related to the shitty stuff they want to do. Like
look at Mulder. Does he in the show have wants and desires that are unrelated to the X-Files?
Very much so.
Like what?
Scully, but that's what I'm saying. Like
on the X-Files.
What's funny is I think there's the idea of like there was always this thing with the X-Files where it's like, are Scully and Mulder going to get together? And the answer was no. It was never going to be something where they really like got together and were like a happy couple. That was never going to happen. But
they're like Diane Court and Lloyd Dobler in real life.
Wow. Okay,
it's one of my favorite movies of all time, by the way. That's not like whatever, but it's true.
But Mulder has he's a quirky guy. And I know Chris Carter took great pains to think he was kind of upsetting the apple cart with gender norms by making Scully very logic-based and all that stuff. And at the time, that was different. At the time, that was very different.
Non-toxic masculinity.
What's that?
Mulder is very non-toxic masculinity, with the exception of porn issues. But and even David Duchovny said on his podcast Fail Better, I think it was on the episode that Gillian Anderson was on, he said he remembered going into the writer's room and being like, please, 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 can you just let me win one fist fight, please? Just one, let me win one fist fight. And they never did. He was always the damsel in distress. Now, Skinner, on the other hand, it turns out, don't fuck with Skinner. He'll take you out with one punch.
Yeah. Skinner also strikes me as somebody who would like to be pegged, but
I could see it.
It's also, his name is Mitch Pileggi, so maybe that's part of my problem that I'm thinking that. But
I love Skinner so much. He's
a great character. That's one of the better characters on the show too.
My our friend of our many shows, Jordan Krause and I talk about how great it would be if instead of giving the baby up for adoption, they gave the baby to Skinner and there was just a spinoff. And it was just Skinner dealing with being a single dad and sometimes having to fight.
That would be funny. The other problem is his name is Skinner, and all I think is also there's Skinner in fucking The Simpsons. The Prince.
Oh yeah. Greg just like, excuse me, what?
There's an energy to him that just makes me think that is something he would be into.
Honestly, he's a tough guy. He's always got to compromise at work. He's got all this on his shoulders. He's got to like color in the lines, but he's got to corral Mulder and Scully all the time, even though he knows they're doing the right thing. And
so he always has to be in control. This is the thing.
His wife left him over it, so maybe that's just like how he.
Maybe he needed pegged, and that's why his wife left him.
Yeah, he was like, "Look, I just want to feel submissive. I just want to feel like somebody else is driving the car." And she's like, "I don't want to drive that car." And
that's not my car to drive. Sorry.
You have to find a different driver.
I'm not driving the Wiener Mobile.
What actually reminds me though is because because here's the other character, the other recurring character on the X-Files that I love to talk about is fucking his project, who loses his hand, if you recall, right?
Yeah.
He gets a fake one, but they don't like to do it. They don't like to show his fake hand prostrating himself before her. Okay. Anyway, so they don't like to show his fake hand. So there's all these scenes like they're showing him, like, pretend you can see my face, but they're showing him and he's like talking like this, and then the other hand is down.
Yeah.
And I wish I could find it. We were looking for it the other day. That John made a meme that was like, why they don't show Krychek's other hand, and it was like the fisting.
Yeah, it's like the thing with the bartenders. You ever see the bartenders are like, and they're like, why we don't do this low because it looks like they're jerking off.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's like, I'm just saying that there is that episode where he hangs Krychek off the balcony, and they don't tell us what happens before that.
Yeah.
But that is also the first episode where we find out that Skinner's a badass. He's like, always buttoned down. I follow the rules, like, blah, 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 blah. And then he's like, you know what, Krychek, I don't fucking like your face. I'm hanging you off the balcony.
Krychek's a fucking shitweed, but fucking great character in it, like a nice foil in this show.
Yeah. It's just like Skinner's like, actually, I'm a Vietnam vet with PTSD, and I happen to have strong rope. You showed up to the wrong apartment.
Maybe
Russian traitor.
Maybe Skinner got into the FBI after hanging out with Tim Robbins in the Jacob's Ladder movie. So
see, and now I still gotta watch that one.
Renee, I'm giving you advice. Watch that movie. It is fucked up and it is great. And it is young Tim Robbins, very young Tim Robbins. So it is just, it's one of the creepier movies I've watched in a while, and that movie's from 1990, so like it stands the test of time as being creepy to me.
Was the 90s in fact our first golden age? As we talk
golden
about
age of what?
Of entertainment.
It depends on your definition of entertainment. This is mortal content, so we encompass all the things.
I'm teasing. I don't.
Yeah. I think that the 90s were like representative of a fuck ton of different weird stuff where people doing. It wasn't like the 70s and 80s where everything was fueled by cocaine and let's just do the weirdest fucking shit possible. It was actually stuff where
there was still a lot of cocaine. I'm
not dismissing that. I'm saying I feel like there was a lot more thought into a lot of stuff. Like the weird shit like Max Headroom came out then. That was like just an oddball fucking thing that nobody like. Maybe that was a cocaine fueled thing, but it was weird and it was cool and it was interesting.
Like they had the idea while they were on cocaine, but they wrote it while they were smoking weed. No,
maybe.
No, I think it was so. I have this like. I have a very complicated relationship with the 90s. It was truly the best of times and the worst of times in so many ways. The culture was, in fact, a fucking train wreck.
No, for sure.
We did have things like The X-Files and like really fantastic horror movies and Tim Robbins, in fact. And like it was the age of the auteur director. Like
yeah,
you could be a rock star as a director. Like you write, produce, direct your own movie, and people would think that you were as cool as the guy who starred in the movie. Like that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, well, I will also say that like if you look at 98 and 99 specifically, I think 99 more than 98, the movies that came out in 99, that is probably the best movie year that's ever existed. Just the amount of fantastic movies that came out of that particular year. It's pretty astounding when you look at the list of things that came out in 99. Like
92 is a really good year.
92 is a really good year. I think 99 just blows most years out of the water.
96 has 2 movies about vampire sex workers.
That's hard to beat.
That is hard to beat. 2 individual theatrical releases. These are not B movies.
Yeah. So
there might even be more. There might be more than 2.
Yeah. All right. Let me look something up because my brain is like, what was that? When did that come out?
By the way, for everyone wondering, what are the 2 vampire sex worker movies that Renee is talking about? It is Tales from the Crypt presents Bordello of Blood, which did get a theatrical release, and my life-changing movie, one of my all-time favorites, From Dusk Till Dawn.
There's also Blade, which had a porn star in it.
3 vampire sex worker movies with theatrical release.
Yeah, Blade came out in 1998.
Oh, 98. Okay.
So, but
if it was 96, that was going to blow my fucking mind because
that came out in 98 because Tracy Lords was in that movie.
I was trying to, once I realized that Bordello of Blood and From Dusk Till Dawn both came out in 1996, I was like, were there others? And so I was really trying, but you try Googling vampire sex worker movies and see what happens.
Yeah, if you want to end up on a watch list.
You try it. It's not as easy as you might think to find out what films that you might watch in a group setting had vampire sex workers in them.
Yeah. And so, oh man. So I'm going to do a quick top 1999 picks. So the problem is they're doing this and it's like all these variants of Google's not being very helpful. I know for a fact, like The Matrix, Fight Club, like all these really fucking, like you said, and it's your whole thing about, I think Boogie Nights came out that year. Like, like all these independent filmmakers that were just really kind of like, here's all our shit. And we're just going to do this really interesting fun stuff and just sorry, there's the Arlington Road came out that year. It's a very underrated movie. Ever watched Arlington Road?
I don't think so.
That is also with Tim Robbins. That is a great movie. Stir of Echoes, which is a very
I love
Stir of Echoes is a great movie too. Eyes Wide Shut, which The Haunting. Like I'm just saying, there's just some really great movies that year. Green Mile.
Well, what's your favorite Kubrick?
What's that?
What is your favorite Kubrick? It's not Eyes Wide Shut.
I'm not a Kubrick fan personally. Probably it is. I know which one I'm thinking about. It's the fucking guys with the diapers on. The only Kubrick movies. I'm gonna look it up.
What?
Clockwork Orange or 2001. Oh, okay. Wait, no. Because they were walking around in diapers and shit. It was really weird. Actually, I think I looked at.
That is the last. Okay. Yes. Okay.
That or 2001: A Space Odyssey. 2001: Space Odyssey is a marvelous fucking movie.
I'm gonna do it to you again. I did this to you on our Scientology episode. It's easy if you take the clues from the Scientology episode. Oh, what do you think my favorite Kubrick is?
Part of me wants to say The Shining.
Oh, it's not The Shining. It's fine. I love the book The Shining, and so I don't love
the idea.
It's fine. It's fine.
And also, you and I are very much in agreement of the way he treated Shelley Duvall in that movie. Just that taints that whole movie for me. So, what about maybe Dr. Strangelove?
Oh, you know what? That actually is my favorite. I forgot about that for a second. I was thinking of Full Metal Jacket, but it is Dr. Strangelove.
Full Metal Jacket's a really good fucking movie.
Good movie. It's also the only Marine movie that I watch. I'm not that kind of Marine vet. I don't watch like Heartbreak Ridge. I have seen Heartbreak Ridge. I liked it enough. I'm not a big war movie person. I'm not a big like Ura Marine Semper Fi person, but I love Full Metal Jacket. I love Joker. I've written about Joker, like my relationship to that character. But you are correct. Actually, it is Dr. Strangelove. No fighting in the war room. If you watch that today, A Few Good Men, Daniel watched the Scientology episode.
yeah.
If you watch,
I think he's talking about 1990s and 1999 movies.
Oh, like, yeah, okay, yeah.
Quanta was good. Tell Miss Ripley was really good. Boondock Saints is a kind of, it depends on your thoughts.
Boondock Saints is one of those ones, like, I thought it was so fucking good for so long, and now I'm like, well, we were going through some shit, weren't we?
Yeah, I think so.
We really were.
And A Few Good Men is a fucking great fucking movie. That is superb movie. The only thing that's not good in that movie is Demi Moore, which sucks because I think Demi Moore is fantastic, but she's not good in that movie.
But what I was going to say about Dr. Strangelove is if you go back and you watch that movie today, it's a horror movie. It's not a satire.
Yeah. Back then it was satire, but yeah.
Yeah. Now it's just like, oh, they're not exaggerating anything.
Yeah. Unfortunately not, but
it is so good. And Slim Pickens is fucking great. Oh God, it's such a good movie. You're right. You know me better than I know myself, Doug. Oh, that's right. Between the last time we were together on screen and this time, which has only been a few days, our 10th friendiversary is come and gone.
How about that? And you sent it to me and I was like, listen, that seems wrong, but it's probably right. It just it seems that just hasn't been that long. What's funny is I'm not even quite sure how we became friends on Facebook. It was some writing thing, I'm sure, but I
don't know what I was doing at that point in time. I remember this is going to sound how it sounds. Okay. I don't send friend requests.
I sent you the friend request. I remember that.
Yeah. I was like, I remember that you friend requested me because I don't send them. I very, very occasionally, if it's somebody local, I'll send a friend request. I just don't send them. It's not a thing. Like it's not for a reason. I also don't accept very many. So.
I feel privileged.
Yeah.
And who knew 10 years ago would turn into this?
Yeah, I knew it was writing
related. Weird shit.
Because we used to talk about writing a lot. And it's funny because this is really interesting, people at home. When men friend request me and then they private message me and they talk to me, usually I'm like, I'm going to block you. And I remember that we did not interact very much like on each other's pages before you had DM'd me and we were talking. And I, for some reason, did not feel that way. I did not decide to block you. Clearly.
Well, I'm thankful for that. I remember there was a time where I said something and it was kind of like a goofy joke, but it was a bit on the misogynistic side. And I sent you a message, said, listen, I really thought about that and said, I apologize because that was not what my intent was, but I realized it could sound like that. And I didn't want you to feel uncomfortable. And you were like, I didn't take it that way. But thank you for that. But clearly it wasn't a big deal to you, but it was something I thought about. And so, but it's something that like, I'm going to credit my wife with a million things, but I'm going to credit with her with this too, is the idea of talking to people of a different gender, whether it be they, thems, whether it be she, hers, she, theys, whatever, is the idea is that as a white male, I need to be very conscientious of what I'm saying to people because I don't want it. I want people to feel comfortable and I don't want them to feel like they're like something weird is going afoot. Now, sometimes I can't help that if I'm saying something and I don't think it's that bad. But again, I'm coming in from my perspective. I'm just a fucking goofy white dude. But I remember saying something and you were like, I didn't even think of it in that context. I said, I get that, but I still felt like I needed you to know that that was not my intent. And if it made you feel that way, I apologize. Like I feel like again, we're going away from X-Files, but I'm just saying, like, I feel like as someone who is is specifically a white male of a certain age, you need to really make sure your shit is tight when you talk to people. And I mean that you need to make sure intention's clear. My intention has never been anything that I think you're a good writer. I think you're fucking funny as fuck. And I want to be able to talk to you about a million things.
I also think that white women need to do that too.
Hey, I'm not a white woman. I can't speak to that.
I just want to add that it's like white women could use a lot of the knowledge you just dropped as well.
But this is why we're friends. So I think is we're willing to, both of us, kind of hold each other to the feet to the fire on things that we need to, but not in a bad way. It's a constructive way, and that's what friendships are. I think so in a million ways.
Good ones, the better ones. Yeah, like if you can't hold your friends accountable, then are they your friends? I don't know.
By the way,
at the same time and then took it down by accident.
I want to say that my dad took my mom for their first date to Blazing Saddles.
Oh
no shit.
Well, that's a test.
My dad laughed his ass off the whole movie, and my mom thought this is the dumbest movie she ever saw.
I love Blazing Saddles and I love Tropic Thunder. We talked about this too, though. You've never seen Tropic Thunder. It's very like it's the same spirit, in my opinion. What is your favorite Mel Brooks?
Spaceballs.
Oh, okay.
By a mile.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried about Spaceballs too. Mel Brooks is in his fucking 90s. Like, why are you making him do work? Let that dude relax.
Well, I mean, but he said he'd only do it if he got a good script, and he got a good script. So, in his opinion, so
yeah. Well, he got it from Josh Gad, who's a funny guy. So we'll see how that is. It's one of those. There's certain movies that you go. I think we all have these movies where you look like that movie was great as it is. Please don't do anything more with it. Just leave it alone. And that's one of those movies I think that was it came off the heels of Star Wars and just it was perfectly timed, super funny, great actors. Like, how do you like John Candy as Mog? I don't know.
John Candy's he's good in everything. Well, so no, I think my favorite is probably a tie. And this is maybe going to get me pilloried, but a tie between Blazing Saddles and the producer's musical, not the original, but the musical. I think the musical is actually hilarious. I like it. I liked the Hulu History of the World, Daniel. I thought it was good. I think most of the things that Mel Brooks does are good. I think it's really funny when people are like, "Oh, Mel Brooks couldn't do what he did today." It's like he absolutely could. He is, first of all. But if Mel Brooks were a young man today doing the same thing, he'd be doing it differently because he'd be tackling different issues and he'd be coming at it in a different, in a different environment. He was pushing the envelope. So no, he wouldn't be making the same jokes because they would
but he'd be pushing envelopes in a different way. Yeah.
It's the same thing with Richard Pryor. It's like Richard Pryor couldn't do his stand-up. He absolutely could because he was talking about himself.
Yeah.
And he probably actually, sadly, could do almost all of the same stand-up today, and it would be relevant.
The same.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. I will say that. So my dad took my mom to see Blazing Saddles for the first date. My dad's absolute favorite movie, one of his favorite movies of all time, is Young Frankenstein. That's my dad's one of my. My dad howls watching that movie. My dad is a funny guy, but he's like one of these guys who doesn't say a lot, and when he does, it's usually pretty on point. And him just laughing uproariously is not a thing he does. So like having him watch this or Blazing Saddles is great because he's like laughing so hard he's crying, and like I love that because it's not something I get to see out of my dad very often.
Oh, so you just reminded. So the other, because I love Gene Wilder so much, and we were talking about Gene Wilder, Richard Pryor. Stir Crazy.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's such a good one. I just like
Wilder.
He's so good, and yeah, and also like Willy Wonka remains one of my favorite movies. Like every time anybody's like, "We're gonna do a Wonka movie," I'm like, "That's nice. That's good for you. Love that for you." I don't give a shit.
And I will say Willy Wonka with Gene Wilder was one of the creepier fucking movies. Like him being Wonka was awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah. And so like my daughter had a stint where she watched like the Johnny Depp version of that like 8,000 times.
I hated that one.
And I don't think it was terrible. It was not nearly as good as the first, but yeah.
To me, it just made a lot of the things that were insidious about the first one too plain. And also I love Gene Wilder like with all my heart. And so what I love about him in Willy Wonka is he said he would not do the role if he wasn't allowed to do the thing at the beginning where he comes out on the cane and he's like hobbling and then he goes into the summer
roll.
Because he's like, from that moment on, everybody knows you can't trust him. And so like he intended always to play it like super fucking creepy and weird. And I love that. And like, I took my mom to see The Wizard of Oz at the Sphere. And we were in like the cheapest seats because it's very expensive. But I took her. It was her 60th birthday, and it was cool. It was great. And I walked out and I was like, okay, now do Willy Wonka. Because like,
Willy Wonka the Sphere would be fucking bonkers.
Yeah,
that
would bubbles, the smells, and
the blueberry would be just saturated. That would be fantastic.
The fucking tunnel scene in that environment, like I can't even. I want it so bad. I can't make it happen, but maybe somebody out there could make it happen for me. Me specifically. I know I'm not the only one who would go.
No, there'd be plenty of people who would go, but yeah.
Especially the way they did it. Like if you go in, there was like a big photo op with like some of the best fucking 3D characters, like statues. I don't know if they were wax or what. Giant poppies and stuff in the area where you're like walking to go in, and there was like cafes that were Wizard of Oz themed and like a donut shop with a special Wizard of Oz donut. Like, could you imagine with Willy Wonka how cool it would look in the
that would be awesome. Yeah.
Come on. You'd be printing money.
Interesting that they do like theme things for each sphere. I didn't realize they did that.
I don't know if they do it for each thing or if they only did it for the Wizard of Oz, because it's like at the same time they were doing some like Eagles thing. I don't know, but yes, with the smells, because like they like when the tornado is coming, there's like the smell of rain and they blow air at you. Like, it would be so fucking cool.
Yeah, but the smell I don't want is the smell at Charlie's house with the fucking people. People sleeping on a bed. No thanks. I don't want that smell.
They pick and choose what they make an experience and what they let you just look at.
That's fair. I don't want that smell from the fucking the bed. I do think it's funny when you see all the people giving the grandpa shit for not doing anything, and then all of a sudden, oh, Charlie wins. I'm going to go with him. I'm like,
here's the thing, okay? Grandpa Joe was not atrophied in any way, so he was getting up in the middle of the night and doing shit.
Yeah.
And he somehow managed to get out, sneak around and buy a chocolate bar behind Charlie's mom's back too. So I'm just saying, something shady about Grandpa Joe.
Yeah, for sure. And he had money.
He's the one who encouraged Charlie to drink the fizzy lifting juice, if you remember.
No, that's true. He did. Aye. All right, this has gone a really far afield of X-Files, right?
Grandpa Joe is just as bad as the smoking man. No.
Grandpa Joe didn't intentionally assassinate anyone, so I guess we can't really make that. He was going to
sell the secrets to Slugworth, so think about that.
Fair point. So, all right, Renee, any last comments on X-Files and Smoking Man? Anything else? You dropped your big theory, which I really dig.
Grandpa Joe was Deuce Bigelow's grandfather. Okay. My final thoughts on this. Well, one, I would love for once, do at me with your theories on whether or not the smoking man was Mulder's father, or if he planted DNA results to make it seem that way because of his rich fantasy life. And then two, it's okay to do creative things just because you enjoy them. You don't need the validation from other people. Your choices aren't be published writer or go to art school or be evil genocidal maniac. There's so many choices in between those two things.
I'm going to avoid the evil genocidal maniac. I'll leave that to the people that are in charge of this country right now.
Yeah, but, well, I'm just saying, like, you know,
well, you and I have had conversations about writing where I have just been at my wit's end with some things, and just it's all fine. So I appreciate that because it makes me feel like doing stuff just because I enjoy it is a good thing. And I do this show, I do the Cult Bar with you, I do Speakeasy Conversations because I enjoy the shit out of that. Like, we make no money off that, and I don't care that we don't. And I wish I could apply that to writing.
Well, I had a secret for you. You get published even if you sell a book. You're not gonna make any fucking money on that either.
I'm not worried about making money. That's actually not a thing that it's weird. Like, I would like to be able to say I had published something. You know what I mean? It's one of those weird things. So
yeah, no, I get you.
Yeah, I had sent something to somebody that I was like, man, this is my best shot. These people fit what I wrote. And then they emailed me like 3 weeks later. No, thanks. Like, oh, fuck. So it's a little disheartening, but at the same time, that is actually the idea of writing. Is you're going to write something, it doesn't fit. You have to find the right thing that it fits, and it might not fit a lot of things, and it might fit one thing. And if you don't find that one thing, then it doesn't get published, and that's okay. That's okay. So, but anyway, Renee, thanks so much for doing this with me. I really appreciate you jumping in and talking about the Smoking Man and X-Files.
I do it anytime. Literally anytime anybody wants to talk about the X-Files, I'm available.
Yeah, one of these days we are gonna have to do a show wherever the fuck it is on the Lone Gunman, because I have a lot to talk about with them. So
I would love to do a Lone Gunman episode too. I would probably do an episode on any one of the recurring characters, because Krychek is also fascinating.
Krychek is a great character. Yeah.
His fisting sex toy hand.
Okay. Well, that was a great image. So anyway, folks, thanks for joining us.
On that note.
Yeah, we appreciate you tuning in and hanging out, and yeah, we'll talk to you folks in December. I do not have anything completely lined up for December, which would be December 9th, I believe. Yes, but I have some things in play, but I haven't pinned down anything just yet. But we'll see what we come up with for that. But Renee, thanks you so much for popping on and hanging out,
My pleasure.
All right. Cheers. Everybody, take care of yourselves.